Well, hello and welcome everybody. I see so many names I recognize, and I'm Gustavo Tolosa. I see people from Indiana, New York City, oh my goodness, North Carolina, where I will be visiting in the near future, Canada, New Jersey. Well, thank you everybody for logging in. Um, like I said earlier, maybe some of you, this is the first book club that you're attending, but in fact, this is the 10th. So this is a pretty good anniversary. I'm Dr. Tolosa. I'm not a medical doctor, but I am a doctor in music, as you all know, and I'm a concert pianist and a music professor. And but I have been doing webinars with doctors and chefs for 10 years and attending many lectures and live in immersion programs. And anyways, any knowledge that I have gathered from the direct sources with these doctors, especially Dr. McDougall, with whom I've worked and done many webinars together, I will pass it on to you gladly. So you can access all of those 10 book clubs if you go to my YouTube channel, which is under my name. And to celebrate this special edition of the 10th book club, I have created a special offer, but more on that later. In the previous book clubs, you will also find interviews with doctors and chefs. There are cooking demos and classes with Chef AJ, Catherine Lawrence, Sheida Soleimani, and many others. And also, every now and then, I play the piano for you, so you can hear that. And I also have a gift for you to download. At the end, I'll tell you how to download it. But I want to ask you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so yet. I know many of you have. It does help me to continue to create these free programs that I create. And also you can, if you have Facebook, you can like my Facebook page, which is Dr. Starch, and doctor is spelled out, Dr. Starch. And you can also follow me on Instagram under Plantimus. And Plantimus is a website that I have created together with Dr. Ponyman. And there are so many free resources there, and I'm typing that there. And if you enjoy music, piano music mostly, although I have other music, you can also go to my professional pianist website, which is gustavotolosa.com. And if you have never received an email from me, then you can be in my email list. To be in my email list, just send me an email. My email is info@plantemus.com. Plantemus is PLANTEMUS. So let's take just a few seconds, since this is the first session of a new book club, and talk a little bit about just a couple of rules that I have so that we all learn and get the most out of these book clubs. Of course, the first rule, of course, this is, I guess it could be optional, but you're not going to get the most out of it if you don't follow this first rule, which is purchase the book, whether it is an electronic version or a hardcover like this one, or any other version of it. Have the book and read the assigned chapters for each session. Today, I have asked you to read the preface and chapters 1 and 2. And another rule is feel free to write comments and questions. We are here to learn. We're here to learn from the experts. In this case is Dr. Ornish and Ornish. I consider myself a sort of expert, so humbly, so you can learn from me. But mostly I think we're here to learn from each other because all of us are in different times of our journey through the whole food plant-based time here. And so we're here to learn from each other. And this is perhaps the most important rule. I ask you to please be kind and respectful. Those are top priorities here. Any unkind or disrespectful comment will be deleted, and I will expel you from the broadcast with a click here. I don't like to do that. I don't think I've ever done that, but just in case. And please feel free to bring your own guests. This is a time, informal time to visit and to learn. And of course, I'm always interested in hearing what recommendations you have for future book clubs. So let's get started. I see that you all are here. I'm super excited to be back. And we are reading Undo It. We need to undo all the harm that the SAD diet or standard American diet or the high fat, high cholesterol, high animal diet does to our bodies. So Undo It, a wonderful, wonderful book. This is one of the few books that I see 4 areas. And of course, we always focus on food. And I think that is the focus, really. But I do think that the other areas are extremely important. So I'm excited. This is a book that I've been wanting to read for a long time, but due to my crazy busy life, I haven't. So I am going to be reading the book with you. I have not read all of it. I have read what I've assigned you, chapters 1 and 2, and we will discuss it. So let's get started. And I just want to highlight in the preface where Dr. Ornish says, this book represents the distilled essence of what we've learned about the power of lifestyle medicine. And I like that, distilled essence, because sometimes we can get lost in so many details. Do I buy organic? Do I not buy organic? Do I need to eat my starch with greens? Do I need to eat nuts every day? I mean, just things that it's not the essence. Those are important details, but sometimes we tend to major in minor things, like Chef AJ says. So let's get started with chapter 1. And at the very beginning, it says, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. And that's attributed to Albert Einstein. As a teacher and professor for many years, many years, I believe that wholeheartedly, entirely. You know that you know something when you can explain it simply. So on page 4, it gives you a list here. And I do read the book with a pencil, and I underline things, and I put asterisks and things like that. It helps me. And I encourage you to do the same as while you're reading. If you have any questions, to write the questions there. And please feel free to type questions here as well. One of you have asked me if all the other book sessions are available, and yes, they are. You just have to go to my YouTube channel, Gustavo Tolosa, click on playlists, and it's going to say online book clubs, and you can watch them there. So what Dr. Barnard says is that basically, if you do what he says here, which is pretty much what we have been learning in all the other 9 book clubs, but every doctor has a different perspective and way of saying things. And sometimes there are even certain things that seem to contradict each other, but we just have to understand that we're not robots that are all the same. We're people. And so there are going to be some differences, but the essence is going to be the same. So what can you reverse? What can you reverse if you follow this way of eating? And we will be talking about what it is, this way of eating. Well, you can reverse severe coronary heart disease, not just heart disease, but severe heart disease. You know that Dr. Esselstyn did that in a very important study that changed the history of medicine in many ways. And the patients that he got were all patients that doctors didn't know what else to do with them other than basically tell them to go home and die. So severe coronary heart disease can be reversed with this way of nutrition. You can reverse type 2 diabetes. You can reverse, and one of the book clubs was about how to reverse type 2 diabetes. Reverse, slow down, or stop the progression of early stage non-aggressive prostate cancer. Reverse high blood pressure. Reverse elevated cholesterol levels. Reverse obesity. Reverse some types of early stage dementia. Reverse, and right now there is a study going on in Dr. Ornish's foundation where it's the results are going to be coming up soon about dementia, reversing some autoimmune conditions, and reverse emotional depression and anxiety. So let's see. On page 5, it says, radically simple yet powerfully proven. It says, the first paragraph, we learned from Steve Jobs that people who have spent their lives deeply understanding something complex can make it really simple for others to learn. When you really know a subject, you can reduce it down to the essence of what's more important. And I know I've said this already, but I just want to highlight it, that it is so important that we can say what this way of eating is in just a few words. On page 6, in the first paragraph, it says, in short, okay, so here it is now. Said very simply, and here's the essence. Eat well, move more, stress less, and love more. And that's what you have on the front cover. That's it. Boom. That's what it says. This book is based directly on the scientifically proven 9-week lifestyle medicine program that we have implemented in hospitals, physicians groups, health systems, and clinics across the country. This is a 9-week program. On page 7, this second paragraph, it says, many commercial insurance companies are now also covering our lifestyle medicine program. Some of these are covering it not only for reversing heart disease, but also for reversing type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, and elevated cholesterol levels. the last paragraph of page 7 says, in our new lifestyle medicine paradigm, Medicare and insurance companies are paying for 72 hours of training each patient rather than just 10 minutes of the regular visit. And I do encourage you to go to Dr. Ornish's website, which is drornish.com. You do have to spell the word doctor, drornish.com, and learn there how you could use insurance to cover his program, which is done online. By the way, I don't get any money from doing these book clubs. I don't get any money for the sales of this. I don't receive any money for recommending a website or anything like that. This is done truly from the bottom of my heart to you. So what are some of the things that are covered here? It says that you get 1 hour of supervised exercise led by an exercise psychologist, 1 hour of stress management led by a certified yoga meditation teacher, 1 hour of a support group led by a licensed clinical psychologist or social worker, and 1 hour of a group meal and a lecture by a registered dietitian and nurse. In addition to being medically effective, our approach is also cost effective. It turns out that only 5% of patients account for 50 to 80% of all healthcare costs. These are people who have chronic diseases, and heart disease is the most expensive condition in terms of total healthcare spending. So then he goes on to explain the savings that his program is making for these companies like Mutual of Omaha and Blue Cross Blue Shield and Medicare, things like that. So if you're new to the book club, you know, I want to explain to you that we don't read word by word because, of course, then we would be here for several months. So I assign you to read chapters, you read them, you highlight them, you underline them, whatever, and then I highlight certain sections of it. But please, if you want me to go over a section or a paragraph or something that I have skipped, feel free to type it here. Even though I'm not a medical doctor and I'm not going to give you medical advice, I know enough that I can give you information about the diet itself and maybe some related questions to health in general. But if you ever have a specific question and I don't have the answer, I will get it for you. Okay, so now we are on page 13. And this is paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? And it says, it takes bigger lifestyle changes to reverse. It takes changes to maintain a good health if you're in really good health. But once that there is an illness, a disease, it takes a bigger lifestyle change to reverse, to undo many chronic diseases. I'd love to be able to tell you that moderate lifestyle changes can often reverse chronic diseases, but that would not be true. And I do want to comment on that now because the way that I started about 9.5 years ago is that I attended the immersion program that Dr. McDougall was doing at that time in Santa Rosa, California. And it was 10 days, and you were in an environment where all 3 meals were provided in a buffet style, and snacks and everything, and then lectures and doctor's visit, and it was amazing. But it wasn't a gradual change. It was a 180-degree change. And I agree that it is easier to do it that way. And then at the bottom of page 13, he explains something that I have never really seen it explained so well. And he says, big changes in life made all at once are often easier to make than moderate, gradual ones when reversing a disease. And of course, this sounds like it will be really hard to just all of a sudden change. But he's saying, we know that's counterintuitive, but here's why it's often true. And here's a good explanation. When you make only moderate lifestyle changes, you're not able to eat and do everything you want, but you're not making changes big enough to feel that much better or for your clinical measures to improve very much. In a real sense, you get the worst of both worlds. So because when you do a gradual change, you can eat some things, you cannot eat other things, and that may make you feel bad. And at the same time, if you make moderate changes, you're going to get moderate results. And that could be something that is disappointing. And then you will say, well, this doesn't work. And you leave it and you'll go back to your disease. And so I totally agree. I think it's better to do a 100% change. I see that one of you asked the website for Dr. Ornish, and someone wrote it here. Thank you so much. Let's see. I will just check just to make sure. Let's see, drornish.com, or is it just Ornish? Let's see. No, yeah, ornish.com. That's correct. Yes, thank you so much for helping there. I really appreciate it. I thought it was drornish.com. I don't know why. I did not realize that it is just his last name, ornish.com. Couldn't be any easier. Thank you for pointing that out. I really appreciate it. You see, that's why I like to have you here. So at the very top of page 14, it says, the more you change your lifestyle, the more you improve in how you feel and in everything you measure. So when you make really big changes in your diet and lifestyle, you are likely to feel so much better, usually within days, that it reframes the reason for making these changes from fear of dying, which is not sustainable, to joy in living, which is sustainable. On page 15, at the very bottom of page 15, it says, if you go on our lifestyle medicine program, under your doctor's supervision, you may be able to reduce or even wean off many medications to lower cholesterol, to lower blood pressure, or blood sugar that you were probably told you would have to take forever because you're directly addressing many of the underlying causes. When you change the way you eat, you are taking care of many illnesses, not just one. In a word, well, he will explain it in a minute. For this reason, it's important that you include your doctor if you are going on this program to reverse a chronic disease, so they can monitor your progress and adjust your medications and other treatments as needed. And I cannot emphasize that strong enough, because when you really follow this program, the changes that you will see are quite big. So I know I've seen it many times at the McDougall programs. I've seen it many times at True North, where I often go whenever I get a chance. And really, it's from one day to another that many patients have to drastically cut insulin, let's say, or other medications they're taking, either cut them down a lot or stop taking them in just a couple of days. So you need to make sure that you are in contact with your doctor. So that is chapter 1, a brief overview. And we're moving on to chapter 2. I like to keep these sections to no more than 45 minutes and give you time to ask questions if you have any. And now, before we go to chapter 2, I'm going to put here on the screen a link for you to download one of my favorite recipes, which is the it's for breakfast. Let me see. Hold on just a minute, because I had others. And let me look in here. So this is the oat groats. If you cannot see the file, don't worry. I will email it to you all, okay? But it's a recipe. It's a gift for you for this 10th edition. So I'll be emailing that to you. So let's move on to chapter 2. And this is page 16. And Dr. Ornish says, like most physicians, I was trained to view heart disease, diabetes, prostate cancer, and other chronic illnesses as being fundamentally different from each other. Different diagnoses, different diseases, different treatments, but they're really not as different as they seem, because they share many common origins and pathways. And this is so important that, and he explained it in the interview that I did with Dr. Ornish last week. Their doctors, physicians are taught that these are very different illnesses with different treatments and medicines, etc. But Dr. Ornish says they all have the same origin. And so he goes on to explain. Let's move on to page 18. The first paragraph, it says, although this may seem like a radical theory, on further reflection, it's not really that surprising. We know, for example, that regular exercise will help prevent and improve a wide variety of conditions. It's not disease specific. They don't tell you, do this exercise for diabetes, and do this exercise for heart disease, and do this exercise for lupus, and do this exercise. Just exercise is beneficial for most conditions. So it's not disease specific, whereas a sedentary lifestyle significantly increases the risk of many chronic diseases, also not disease specific. Here are some ideas you can add to Dr. Ornish's 4-pillar, like sunshine and connection. Yes, all right. And I will email you all the recipe. Don't worry. I'm going to look at it one more time just to make sure that, yeah. When I got cut off earlier, I lost. Let's see. I lost this file. Okay, so on page 19, it says, those with 4 healthy lifestyle factors, which are moderate exercise of at least 30 minutes per day, not smoking, not smoking, normal weight, and a high intake of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, and low meat consumption had a 78% lower risk of developing any chronic disease, including a 93% lower risk of getting type 2 diabetes, as 81% reduced risk of heart attack, a 50% lower risk of a stroke, and a 36% reduction in all forms of cancer. And he's reporting a study that is called the EPIC study, the European Prospective Investigation into Cancer and Nutrition study of almost 25,000 men and women. So that's worth repeating, he says. Although the majority of Americans have type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, this study showed that at least 93% of diabetes is completely preventable today. And if people made the bigger lifestyle changes described in this book, it's probably closer to 100% preventable and often even reversible. Also, a 2019 large-scale study of more than 100,000 patients by the Harvard School of Public Health found that those adopting just 5 healthy lifestyle habits had an 82% lower risk of dying from cardiovascular disease, a 65% lower chance of dying from cancer, and a 74% lower risk of dying from all causes during follow-up. These same lifestyle habits had a major impact on all of these chronic diseases. Those who were not overweight, never smoked, exercised an average of 30 minutes per day, didn't drink to excess, and ate a healthy diet lived an average of 12 to 14 years longer. We just need to put it into practice, what we already know. The guiding principle of our lifestyle medicine program, here we go, when he says those kind of things, he's saying, here you go, underline, highlight. The guiding principle of our lifestyle medicine program has always been based on addressing the underlying causes of illnesses on many levels simultaneously. By analogy, if you have a rock in your shoe, don't blame the stone. Use painkillers or surgery to cut the affected nerves, or wear thicker socks. Just take out the rock. It makes so much sense. So, like if you have type 2 diabetes, don't be looking for more medicine and more treatment. Just stop eating what causes it in the first place. So on page 20 now, too much of a good thing, he says. Your mind and body have not yet had time to evolve to deal with the excesses and disruptions of 21st century life. So I think that I really, really like this one sentence here. Your mind and body have not yet had time to evolve to deal with the excess and disruptions of 21st century life. A diet high in animal protein, fat, and sugar, for one thing. A sedentary lifestyle, another. Often chronic and unrelenting emotional stress, and the widespread breakdown of social networks that used to give people a strong sense of connection, community, and love, often leading to chronic emotional depression. The result of this disruption is that many people are not healthy and not happy and are often emotionally depressed and chronically ill. One of you is saying, this is epic proclamation, 100% reversal of diabetes. Modern medicine should be ashamed. And I agree. And if you read Dr. Neil Barnard's book, Reversing Diabetes, which is in my book club, and Dr. McDougall's books, and Dr. Ornish book about diabetes, you will see how that proclamation is true. At the bottom of page 20, it says, the pound of cure. It takes bigger lifestyle changes to reverse disease than to prevent it. The pound of cure instead of the ounce of prevention. But it's the same idea, since these same mechanisms affect so many different diseases. This makes it radically simple, and it is achievable. We can help prevent these diseases in the first place by making the lifestyle changes described in this book. And then at the top of page 21, it says, you can skip the rest of this chapter if you find it to be too technical for your level of interest. We included this information because you may find it empowering to know why. The more mechanisms we study, the more science we have to explain why the lifestyle medicine program described in this book is so powerful in undoing such a wide variety of chronic diseases. I don't think it's a good idea to skip this chapter. So this is where we will stop for today, and we will pick it up here next week. So next week, I am asking you to finish chapter 2 and go ahead on chapter 3. It's not very long, and that's what we will be doing next week. If we can finish here now. So what I'm going to do to end is announce this other, I guess, offer that I made for today, because I wanted to do something special for the 10th edition of the book club. So I don't know if you're aware of this. Besides being a professional musician, I consider myself quite a professional chef. I love to cook, and I have had the best training, I think, with Chef AJ and Shada and Catherine Lawrence and many others. Really, I just love to cook, and so I created many videos. Many. Those are all in my YouTube channel, and they are free. And then I produced some videos that are a little more intense in production because there are a lot more recipes, and many times these are recipes that I created myself, or they come from my family, and I have adapted them to a whole food plant-based diet. And then you get a PDF with the written recipes and unlimited access to the video. And I have created these programs that are called The Chef and the Pianist. And in these programs, we cook together. And then at the end, I give you a mini concert with beautiful piano music. And I have made 9 of those. I have not made one in a while. And I am planning to do a new one in the near future. They do take a lot of time to plan and to produce and to later on for the post-production, but I love to do it. So those were sold usually for $12.97 or maybe 15, something like that. They were not. I thought they were accessible, and you have recipes that are so easy and so delicious, and at the same time, they really help you stay focus and continue your weight loss and your reversal of any of these chronic diseases. So what I decided I was going to do is for the price of one, you will get all 9. So I'm doing this for this group. I will announce it later for my other people, for my list, and I will keep it for a week or so. I won't be there forever. But to say goodbye today, I'm going to put that. But who knows? Oh, yeah, here it is. I thought maybe I had lost that since I lost the other one. So there it is. I think you can see it in the screen here to the right. And if you want to sign up for that, I will get an email once you purchase it, and I will personally email you the 9 videos and the 9 PDFs with all the recipes. So have a wonderful beginning of the week. And I will see you next Sunday at the same time. During the week, feel free to email me, ask questions, comments, etc. And like I said earlier, have a wonderful week. And on Tuesday, I'm going to do a special webinar to celebrate Chef AJ. I think many of you have already signed up. Bye-bye, everyone.